Rashad Robinson, the executive director of Color of Change, colorofchange.org, Twitter at Rashad Robinson, at Color of Change, on the line with us. Rashad, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Back in 1980, a fellow by the name of Paul Weyrich, who was one of the godfathers of the Republican movement, he was one of the co-founders of the Heritage Foundation, of the Cato Institute, which was back then called the David Koch Foundation. He was one of the co-founders of the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, which has produced all these laws to suppress voter registration and voter, and voting across the country. In a rare moment of candor, or perhaps he didn't realize he was being videotaped, or actually 16 millimeter taped. In a rare moment of candor, said to a group of Republicans who had gathered in a church in Texas he was working on the Reagan campaign at that time. He was in charge of the direct mail campaign. He worked on both Bush campaigns later. Paul Weyrich in 1980 said this to a group of Republican activists.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Well, I think that this is the story of our country. It's been an ongoing fight in our democracy. As we've worked, and so many pro-democracy folks, civil rights community, women's suffrage movement has fought to expand the suffrage, has fought to make our voting more inclusive. There have been forces that have fought on the other side, have pushed back, have tried to close our system off and made it an invitation-only system where only a few voices can be heard. This is exactly the reason why organizations like Color of Change exist, to empower the voices of everyday people, to create a counterbalance and a counterweight to forces like the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, and others.
So it seems that Paul Weyrich's dream, I mean, he's been dead for a couple of years, but it seems that his vision of a time when in America only those who were Republican-leaning voters would actually be able to vote has come to fruition, at least in a number of states. Pennsylvania, probably at the top of that list. Over 1 million people may not be able to vote in this election, almost all of them people who would be typically in the Democratic-leaning category. What is Color of Change doing about this?
Well, Color of Change is doing a number of things. Right now, we're currently working and with our members in the state of Pennsylvania to get to have them work to not only help people get their voter IDs because of the new voter ID law, but also to work to capture the stories of hardships of people getting their IDs. We're hearing really terrible stories of senior citizens waiting full days, some of them with medical bags on their bodies, trying to get access IDs. People being turned away multiple times because, women who got married and their name no longer is the same name as the one on their driver's license. And so the Pennsylvania State DMV can't give them a driver's license. We're hearing all these stories, but we're capturing them because there is still time to file multiple lawsuits. Because part of what happened in Pennsylvania is that the court said that it was easy to get a voter ID, that it wasn't going to be tough. What we're actually experiencing on the ground, though, as our members and their friends, family, and neighbors go to the poll, go to the DMV and other locations to get their IDs, is that it is a challenge. And this is exactly the reason why not only so many folks in Pennsylvania will be disenfranchised, but across the country where voter ID laws exist, we will see many people that will have a real problem accessing the polls.
Yeah, these voter suppression ID laws they're becoming ubiquitous. It's like, there's not a state that doesn't have a Republican-controlled legislature, it seems, that hasn't proposed them at the very least. And it is the new Republican thing to do, and Fox News, of course, has all their viewers hysterical about all those, mostly, presumably, illegal Hispanics who all want to vote to change the election, which is an absurd notion. Do you think that there will be time to stop this in Pennsylvania?
Well, we're not sure, so we're moving with a two-pronged strategy.
Right.
One prong is to do what we can to make sure this court case moves forward, to get the right amount of plaintiffs in Wisconsin, where we were successful in the courts. The legal groups were successful. There were over 35 plaintiffs, and so we know that we need to get a number of plaintiffs with a diverse array of stories. At the same time, we need to work to help people get their voter IDs, and we need to utilize the turnout vehicles that we put in place. The communication vehicles that we put in place to not only turn people out on election day, but also help people get the right IDs that they're going to need to be able to vote.
Okay.
Yes.
I got it. Let me bring in a caller. This is Madison Eagle in Mayetta, Kansas, watching us on Dish Network on Free Speech TV. Madison Eagle, you wanted to speak about GOP poll watchers. Do you have a comment that you can share that perhaps Rashad can riff off?
Oh, absolutely. The regular news talk about poll watchers all the time. I had a question. They go to school. They learn the dark arts of intimidation. They have their techniques. But what are those techniques? What are we going to be facing? My people, I want to protect them. I have a solution to that. I hope it'll work.
Are you Native American, Madison Eagle?
Well. Yes.
And what do you think your solution is?
Okay. Well, our tribal council is over the police department here. We hire them and fire them, and all we need to do is to have a general council quorum to order the tribal council to take one of our federal officers. They're all federal here on the reservation,
right?
And they do have jurisdiction within the entire county, which may be unusual, I'm not sure, but they do have that agreement with them. Took a long time to get that, actually. Mm-hmm. And to have a federal officer present at the voting area to watch over our people to see that no laws are broken by these poll watchers.
These Republican poll watchers and this intimidation machine. Madison Eagle, thank you for the call. Rashad Robinson, your thoughts on voter intimidation in general across the United States? I mean, it was William Rehnquist who made his chops in the Republican Party, ended up Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court back in the 60s in Arizona by challenging Native American voters at the polls in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, I mean, and what we're seeing this year is really unprecedented since the Jim Crow era, and its coordination may be unprecedented ever. What we're seeing is True the Vote has pledged over 1 million poll watchers. They've been doing trainings around the country and training folks in all sorts of tactics of intimidation, from asking people for citizenship to challenging, folks who they believe shouldn't be voting, which is going to utilize racial profiling like tactics. Mm-hmm. True the Vote has pledged these things, and it's incredibly coordinated. The Secretary of State in Ohio, who's come under a lot of fire for closing down early voting, which the courts just overturned. We're still waiting on the ruling on weekend voting, but the court overturned his attempt to prevent early voting in Ohio. He was scheduled the next weekend to go and speak at a True the Vote conference until the outrage happened from organizations like Color of Change and others. He was going to be on a keynote speaker at the True the Vote Ohio conference, along with the former Secretary of State of Ohio. Many of your viewers and listeners might know of the name Ken Blackwell,
yes,
whose name became really famous during the 2004 election. So these are not just sort of citizen folks who are out there and not connected. These people are now connected to our Secretary of State, the people who should be guarding and protecting our elections.
That's amazing. Rashad Robinson, you can read all about it over at colorofchange.org. Executive Director, Color of Change. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Keep up the great work, please. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Voter intimidation, voter ID laws. I mean, all of this stuff. The Republicans, they're throwing everything they got at this to suppress the vote.